You hear a quote like that, and it just sends a shiver down your spine, right? The failure was no mere accident. What that tells us is that this event, what everyone thought was just some awful industrial accident, it was actually something else, something deliberate, a test, basically, designed to drag a hidden power out into the open. All right, so today we are diving deep into one of the most incredible events to ever happen in the Coruscant Undercity. We're going to break down this absolutely catastrophic failure and the impossible rescue that came right after it. We're going to look at how one man, Cal, somehow contained an explosion that had the power of a star, and maybe more importantly, what his actions ended up revealing to everyone watching. So let's start at the beginning, the failure. Picture this, a super busy plasma transit station deep in the Undercity. And the main conduit, the thing that powers like half the entire district, it just starts to come apart at the seams. And it didn't just explode out of nowhere. The first signs were subtle, and then really, really fast, they became terrifying. First, it was this deep vibration that just shook the whole station. Then you get this awful groaning sound of stressed metal. You know, the sound of those massive support beams starting to buckle under a strain they were never, ever meant to take. And from there, it was just pure chaos. The whole system just went critical. The conduit itself, which is basically this massive energy artery, it started to bulge, almost like a pulsating throat. You see panels flickering out, platforms just collapsing, and these cracks of raw, blinding light start tearing right through its metal skin. A total nightmare. And right in the middle of all that noise, you hear someone shout, "That's Alara." And her warning to Cal, man, it just grounds this whole technical disaster in something very real, very human. Because things aren't just failing, right? They're failing way faster than anyone could have predicted. And there are people right there, directly in the path of that blast. And you really can't overstate the danger here. This wasn't a what-if scenario, you know? This was happening right now. A wave of pure energy, hot enough to literally vaporize anything organic in a split second. It just washes over a transport and poof, it's gone. Obliterated. The threat was absolutely real and 100% lethal. Okay, so that's the setup. A complete catastrophe. And that brings us to the next part of this story, the intervention. The situation is spiraling completely out of control. Official help is still minutes away, which might as well be an eternity. And then one person steps up to do something that nobody thought was even remotely possible. And this is the big question, isn't it? I mean, how can a person just walk into the heat of a star? The source material is really specific here. It says that as Cal got closer to this rupture, he only felt a warmth, not the incinerating heat that just vaporized an entire transport. So how? How in the world did he do it? Well, the key here is that he wasn't just blocking the energy. This wasn't like putting up some kind of shield. When that plasma hit him, it didn't bounce off. No, it absorbed into him. He was actively taking that fire, the heat of a star, into his own body and then redirecting its flow. Think about that. He wasn't just putting a Band-Aid on the problem, he was providing a fundamental solution. Now, before we get to what he did next, you need a quick primer on a material called Durasteel. This stuff is, well, it's basically the metal that holds the entire Republic together. It's famous for being incredibly strong. But get this, under the strain of Cal just resisting the plasma, just standing there, the Durasteel plates under his feet were already cracking and buckling. That's how much power we're talking about. Okay, so let's break down exactly how he contained this thing, step by step. First, he absorbs that initial blast, right? Then he redirects the flow of energy. Next, and this is just insane, with what can only be described as Herculean strength, he literally rips massive chunks of that stressed-out Durasteel right from the walls and floor around him. And finally, with impossible speed and precision, he forges it. He molds this super strong metal like it's soft clay. And the result of all this? It was just a brilliant piece of improvisation. By shaping that Durasteel into a kind of makeshift containment shell, he didn't just block the plasma. No, he was way smarter than that. He turned its own massive pressure back on itself, forcing it into the self-consuming vortex. He basically used the problem to create its own solution. Genius. So the immediate danger is over. Phew. But the consequences of what Cal just did? Oh, they were just getting started. Let's shift gears and look at the aftermath. Because his impossible and very, very public display, it changed absolutely everything.
Just think about this number for a second. 1. A single person did what entire fleets, what the established powers of the galaxy, what even the Jedi could not have done in time. This wasn't just a rescue mission. No, this was a complete upending of the known order. It challenged the very idea of what power even is in this universe. And the people who saw it, the survivors, they knew it instantly. In that stunned silence that followed, you could just hear the whispers starting. They knew, deep down, that this was not a power they had ever seen before. It didn't fit into any of the neat little boxes of what was supposed to be possible. And then you hear that second voice, which adds this whole other layer of fear and awe to the mix. What they had just witnessed was something completely alien. He wasn't just a hero in that moment. He was an unknown. And you know what? That was absolutely terrifying to them. And that's when Alara brings all of that public fear into one sharp personal question. She doesn't ask, "How did you do that?" No, her question is so much more fundamental and so much more frightening. Kal, what are you? His very identity, his being, is now the central mystery. I mean, the physical evidence was right there for everyone to see. Undeniable. He's standing there in all this wreckage, his clothes are singed from the heat, but his skin is pristine, not a mark on him. And the source material makes one thing crystal clear. This incredible display, that wasn't even his limit. It was just a tiny fraction of his true power, just a glimpse of what he's really capable of. And that brings us to the final, and maybe the most chilling piece of this puzzle. Because as that contained plasma finally faded away, a signal pulsed from deep inside the network. A signal that was not from the Republic. So you see, this whole thing, it wasn't a random accident at all. It was a test. And that leaves us with a brand new question. It's not just what Kal is anymore. Now it's, who set this all up? Who wanted him revealed? And what on earth do they want with him?